Next thing we're going to look at today is how can we activate a compressor on a channel. Compressors are really great. They're like their own field of study unto themselves. We're going to look at how we can activate a compressor on, what do we want to do it on? Let's say a kick drum. So we're going to navigate to the kick drum channel, and we could put a compressor on any of these channels. It really doesn't matter. But let's just, for example, do a kick drum. It's in our second bay, our second patch here, second page, channel 17 to 32. It is channel 17. So we select the kick drum channel by hitting the select button. Now all of these effects, everything we do, will apply to the kick drum channel. As you can see, this channel does not have phantom power because it's a dynamic microphone on there. Doesn't have the polarity reverse. Who cares? We don't really use that very much, if ever. It does not have a low cut because we want those low, rumbly, boom sounds that come out of the kick drum. So that's great. We've already looked at the gate slash ducker, and that is activated up to a certain point. And that might be just to reduce maybe just noise, things rattling around inside the drum that we don't want every single little click and noise coming through. And plus, I mean, the bass drum itself is super loud, so not really much reason like to have the gate all the way down here. Like if that thing's being kicked, and it'll make lots of noise. All right, here's the compressor. Activate, or this is deactivated, now it's activated. That's really pretty simple. How do you know when the compressor is working or like actually engaged? Well, this comp, there's a light next to the comp that will turn on and indicate that the sound is being compressed or smushed in there. So you can change the threshold on the compressor by spinning this around. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to leave that where it was. And you can also view the compressor on the main screen, just like everything else. When you hit the view button, it will show you the compressor over there. All right, so there's our scenes view. I want to view the compressor. Click that, there you go. You can also, so you can change the settings of the compressor over here. Now, what does a compressor do? A compressor takes, well, it compresses the sound. So when you have a loud sound that's coming through a compressor, you can set the threshold of how what you want your maximum kind of loudness to be. Like, how loud does it have to be before the sound starts to get smushed? And so that's what the threshold is. You'll notice the threshold is active. So if I want it to be like pretty loud before it messes with and smushes the sound, I can turn that way up to 0 dB. That basically would mean not really much of anything would get compressed. It was down close to like 35, something like that. So let's put it about there. All right, so now what's going to happen is every time the audio signal coming into the kick drum surpasses negative 35 dB, the compressor is going to activate, and it's going to compress at a certain ratio, which you can change here. All right, so a ratio is like how, like the fraction, or yeah, the ratio to which the sound is being smushed back down. And so currently it's at 2.5. Like a 10-to-1 ratio is pretty smushed. Usually we're looking more at the 2 to 4 range is pretty natural sounding. If you get like too high, like 10 or 100, what ends up happening is it sounds like really unnatural, really forced and crunched, and yeah, you can mess with it and just experiment with it. Not during a service, preferably, but those are kind of the main controls you're going to want for the compressor. Now, if the kick drum were going, and it were going, up here, you would know these lights here under the dynamics page, the red lights would be smushing down to show you where the signal is being pushed down. Now, why in the world would we want a compressor? Long story short, it keeps the louder stuff a little quieter, so that way the quiet stuff is, still quiet, but it makes everything a little more uniform, which gives an appearance of some energy, some in-your-face-ness that will hopefully improve the sound. Of course, if you compress it too much, it'll sound really weird and a little too in your face. But yeah, we recommend using the compressor on a kick drum for sure. And really any channel that's having like some really wild, it's super quiet, and then whoa, it's super crazy loud, and you want to kind of tame it down so you can bring up the channel to a more uniform, nice level. We recommend using the compressor to add that element. It's something that really comes best with experience and playing around with it, but now you know how to turn on and off the compressor.